Hey folks, see if you've ever had this problem. You're trying to eat a little healthier, but you're in the grocery store aisle, you're looking at packaging, nutrition labels, and they're so confusing, you don't know what's good for you and what's not. Well, this is why I love Thrive Market, my go-to online grocery store for getting all of my healthy essentials delivered, and I don't even have to leave my couch. Finding better options for the whole family is easy with Thrive Market's Healthy Swap Scanner. Just scan a product and it instantly recommends healthier swaps. This is how my wife and I found our new favorite snack, IQ bars. Sometimes I eat one in the morning with my coffee, sometimes just later on in between meals. They also have so many on-site filters that make it simple to shop by the needs of everyone in the family. Maybe you have someone who needs gluten-free food, somebody that has a peanut allergy. Well, no more scouring ingredient labels when you can just filter it all on Thrive Market. My wife and I often use the high protein filter to stock up on things like Sieti chips. Ready to make the switch? Go to thrivemarket.com/TCAT for 30% off your first order, plus a free $60 gift. That's THRIVE market.com/TCATT, thrivemarket.com/TCAT. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 407 of the True Crime All the Time podcast. I'm Mike Ferguson, and with me, as always, is my partner in true crime, Mike Gibson. Gibby, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
I'm having a great week.
Yeah.
And you and I were talking about it on Patreon. We actually put a brand new episode out on Saturday.
Yeah.
A Patreon episode on Joan Rebel and Goldine Pizer. And this is kind of a Halloween episode. The murder occurred on Halloween night. You know, it goes back to the 50s, and it's a very interesting case because, you know, we're talking about same-sex relationships in the 1950s, and there's a lot wrapped up into it.
There really is.
So if you're on a Patreon, check it out. If you're not, now's a great time to sign up. We also have a brand new episode out on True Crime All the Time Unsolved, where we're talking about Chance Engelbert, a newlywed and a father to an infant son, who went missing in July 2019. He got into an argument with his wife and was later captured by a security camera in Terrytown, Nebraska.
That's a good episode. Go check it out.
All right, let's go ahead and give our Patreon shout outs. We had Raylene Brewer.
Hey, Raylene.
Ash Zwizzler.
Hey, Ash.
Sheila Gilliam.
What's going on, Gilliam?
Lisa Hervey.
Hey, Hervey.
Teresa Pereira.
Pereira.
Mermaid Maniac jumped out to our highest level.
What's up, Maniac?
Natalie Pater.
Hey, Pater.
Sarah Lester.
Well, appreciate that, Sarah.
Karen Robinson.
What's up, Robinson?
And last but not least, Jennifer Ball.
There's Ball.
And if we go back into the vault, this week we selected Amber Hatcher.
And there's Hatcher.
And there's Hatcher. We also had a great PayPal donation from Andrea Edwards.
Thanks, Andrea.
Yeah, we appreciate all the support. All right, buddy, are you ready to get into this episode of True Crime All the Time?
I am ready.
We're talking about Andre McDonald. Andre and Andreen McDonald were a wealthy couple who, you know, looking from the outside in, seemed like they had the perfect life. But it turns out that they had a volatile marriage that ended with Andreen being beaten to death inside the family home.
We've heard of these families that look perfect on the outside.
Yeah. A lot of the listeners probably know people.
Absolutely.
Who you would think, just by what you know of them, they're leading the perfect life. Maybe they got great jobs, they got enough money, they've got great children. But do you really know what's going on behind closed doors? And my answer is always no. There is no way to know for sure.
Yeah, there's always that family you go, man, they just got it all going on. I wish we could be like them. But probably not.
They might have some skeletons in their closet.
Yeah.
Andre McDonald is a former Air Force major who worked as a cyber warfare analyst.
Sounds like a kind of a cool job.
Yeah. Sounds like something you would get into.
I like to do a lot of analyst stuff.
Analyzing?
Yes.
Analysis?
Yes.
Andre met his wife, Andreen, in the city of Port Antonio, Jamaica in 2009. Andreen grew up in Portland, Jamaica. Her biggest goal in life was to be financially successful, and she believed moving to the United States would help her achieve her dreams.
When I hear Jamaica, what's the first thing that comes to my mind? Probably comes to your mind too.
Red Stripe?
Yep.
Oh, I could have said weed. I could have said Mon. I could have said Michael Scott.
Michael Scott.
There's a lot of things I could have said there. But, let's kind of break down the American dream. When you hear that, what do you think? Someone coming from another country to better their lives.
Yeah.
And, it sounds to me like this is what Andreen thought was possible. And it is possible. Many, many people have done it. Now, you and I have both been to Jamaica.
Yes.
There are large parts of Jamaica that I believe where, a lot of people live in poverty. So, if you're watching Baywatch or you're watching, one of these shows from the US as a kid and you're thinking, oh man, if I could get over there, I could be like them.
Yeah.
I just wonder how many, people kind of get their ideas of the US from television.
Oh, I think several.
Or, Jamaica is also a travel hotspot.
It is.
A lot of cruises stop there. Are you seeing a lot of Americans walking around, buying things? You can tell they have money. Maybe some of it comes from that as well.
I think they learn that there's opportunities over
There's
here
absolutely opportunities.
versus being just kind of locked into the local tourism scene and the rum business over there.
Andreen met Andre when she was just 19 years old. He was 10 years older than her. He was also from Jamaica, and he came to Port Antonio in May 2009 to attend a funeral. Andreen's mother, Maureen Smith, told 48 Hours that her daughter was excited about the relationship. They decided Andreen would come back to the States with Andre, and they got married in July 2009. And we just talked about it, Gibbs, right? She had a dream of moving to the US. Her biggest goal was to be financially successful. And she thought the best way to achieve that would be to get to the United States. She meets this guy and has the opportunity. So she's excited about the relationship. She's excited about moving to the US.
Yeah, she gets to work on her goal.
A few years later, the couple moved to San Antonio, where their daughter Elena was born. Elena became the center of Andreen's world.
As most kids do.
Absolutely. They become the center of the universe. Number one, because they require so much attention, everyone's attention. And number two, they're just so darn cute.
They are cute.
At the age of 22, Andreen founded an assisted living business called Starlight Homes. And that's pretty amazing at the age of 22. I got to be honest with you.
Ambitious.
Very ambitious. Now, Andre had better credit, so he secured a loan, liquidated his 401k, and sold his BMW to finance the business.
They were serious.
Well, they must have thought it was a really good idea. Andreen handled most of the day-to-day business affairs since Andre was still in the military, but they split the profits equally. And that does make a lot of sense. Number one, you're married, but number two, she's doing all the work. He put up all the money. So even if they weren't married, if it was just a partnership,
right,
that would be a pretty fair and equitable split.
Yeah.
And the business grew pretty quickly. At first, it was based in Andreen's home, but over the next 7 years, it grew into a multi-million-dollar enterprise. They established 2 different locations in the San Antonio area. Soon, Andre and Andreen were able to purchase a house in a wealthy community in San Antonio. They were described by a lot of people, Gibbs, as a power couple.
Just like me and you.
Exactly. ADA Steven Spear told A&E they were making 7 figures, largely through her efforts.
Wow, impressive.
Yeah, you have to be impressed by what she did. Now, he did finance, right, this business venture, but it sounds like all the hard work was done by her.
Yeah.
He was still in the military, but their marriage had its problems. One of the biggest issues was Andreen's affair with her ex-boyfriend, Aben Hall, a businessman living in Port Antonio, Jamaica. They dated back when they were teenagers, but according to Andreen's friend, Mandy Hall, they rekindled their romance in 2017. During one of Andreen's philanthropic trips to Jamaica, Mandy told 48 Hours, Aben has always been that first love. It wasn't something Andreen got over emotionally.
Well, that's a problem.
Well, it's a problem in any marriage.
Yes.
But is it all that uncommon that someone has trouble kind of letting go of their first love? There is something kind of special about, that first love.
Yeah, people hold on to that memory.
They do, but a lot of times most times it's just a memory.
Yeah.
Once you get married, you might think back about that person every now and then, but you're not seeking them out to rekindle the relationship.
Right.
It's just a nice memory that might pop in your head every now and then. And if my wife's listening, I'm going to get a lot of questions.
Yes, you are. I was thinking that as you were speaking.
But this affair was secret until the summer of 2018, when Andreen got the letter A tattooed on her hand and a date tattooed on her wrist. On social media, Andre found a photo of Aben with the same hand tattoo. The numbers 14-3-76 represented his birthday.
It's kind of hard to hide a tattoo.
It's kind of hard to play off that it's something other than that.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't wipe it off. You have to explain it. Now, if it was a butterfly or anything else other than what she put on there, okay, you could explain it away. We just happened to get the same tattoo. We went to the same place. You could maybe try to explain those types away.
It was a little weird, though, that he also got the same tattoo with his own birthday on it.
Not her birthday.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was a little strange.
Yeah, I love myself, too. I'm going to put my A and my birthday on there.
According to Mandy Hall, she said that Andreen told her that she impulsively got the tattoo, saying she knew it was something stupid to do.
Really?
Well, you do it impulsively, and then after the fact, you think, oh, that was not smart at all.
Yeah. What did I do?
There are going to be repercussions.
Absolutely.
Andre threatened to divorce her unless she cut off all contact with Aben, covered her tattoos, and promised never to travel to Jamaica without him. Okay. I mean, I don't know if that's all that
unreasonable
of a request. Andreen did cover up her tattoos because she didn't want to lose her business. Public records indicate Andre filed for divorce from Andreen in 2017, but withdrew the filing.
The problem with that was that she did it because she didn't want to lose her business, not her marriage.
Yes, it specifically said she didn't want to lose her business, and she would have, right? If the couple got divorced, that business was going to be at the very least split up, sold, and the profits split or whatever. But the couple seemed to be getting along at Andre's 40th birthday party, which took place about 2 weeks before Andreen disappeared. On February 28th, 2019, Andre and Andreen argued about the business via text. Earlier that day, they went to an accountant to prepare their taxes. Andre discovered his wife omitted his name while filling out business paperwork. He felt like she was trying to hide money from him. At one point, he texted his wife, "All you do is scheme, but I'm no fool."
Well, I think once your partner knows that you've had an affair, they're going to be skeptical about anything you do.
Well, the trust level had to be at an all-time low.
Sure.
So, when it comes to business, you see something. Is it surprising that he would automatically jump to the conclusion that she's doing something she shouldn't be doing? He's probably thinking that about everything.
Sure.
At that point. Andreen's phone was turned off just after midnight on March 1st, 2019. No one heard from her after that. She was reported missing on March 1st after she missed a meeting with her personal trainer and failed to show up for work. Two of Andreen's close friends went to her home and entered through an unlocked back door. They saw blood and hair on a light switch and what appeared to be the remains of fire on the ground in the backyard. They found a zipper among the ashes.
Okay, that's a little freaky.
Yeah, that's not good. Now, you could argue somebody was burning some clothes. Okay, but why? You can just throw a pair of jeans in the trash if you want to. You don't have to burn them.
Yeah.
Normally, and maybe it's just because we're all true crime enthusiasts, burning is done to get rid of evidence.
That's what I'm thinking.
But you also have to think about, these friends. They go over, what are they thinking? She's probably sick. We're going to find her on the couch, watching The View and eating chicken noodle soup. But never imagining what they actually walked in on. Blood, hair.
Suspicious fire.
With a zipper. One of the women left to get Andreen's mother, Maureen Smith. When she returned, they saw Andre leaving the house and called the police. Within minutes, the sheriff's deputy spotted the blood and hair on the switch, the burn pile, and the zipper within the burn pile. Andreen's purse was still in the house. Her keys were on the counter, and all her vehicles were still there.
A lot of red flags.
Yeah, we talk about that in a lot of episodes, especially on the unsolved side. What does it mean when someone has seemingly disappeared, but they didn't take their purse? They didn't take their car keys and drive away in one of their vehicles.
Sometimes they don't take their phone.
Sometimes they don't take their phone. It never seems to be a good sign. And I can imagine it wasn't a good sign here. Now, on top of that, you add the blood and hair and all of that. Andre told the police that he woke up and took his daughter to school before he reported to the Air Force Base. He rushed home when he learned his wife was missing, but he quickly left again on a hunch that Andreen had gone to a nearby hospital as she suffered from migraines. His arrival was recorded on camera. They told him there was someone in room 3 named McDonald. When he returned to the house, he told the police she was in the hospital. But when a deputy called to verify, he discovered Andreen was not in the hospital. And to me, that is such a strange thing to tell a police officer.
Right.
Because it's so easily verifiable.
And if she was in the hospital, why wouldn't you be there with her?
Oh, I feel better now. I know she's there, and then I just left her again.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just not adding up, right? Andre explained he came home before seeing the patient in the hospital room because he left his phone at home and wanted to tell Maureen Smith he found Andreen.
Couldn't pick up a phone there?
But he didn't find
Right.
Andreen. He never saw her. He is claiming that someone told him there was someone with the last name McDonald, and he is saying he assumed that was Andreen. So, I'm going to rush home, get my phone, call her mother. But you're right, Gibbs. How many phones are at a hospital? How hard is it?
Yeah.
Would it be to make a call, even if you don't have your cell phone?
I mean, I guess you can make a case that he didn't know her number, but...
Yeah, there's also this thing called information. I think they still have that. Nobody uses it anymore, but I think they still have it.
But at a minimum, wouldn't you at least go in and say, hey, baby.
How you doing?
You okay? I'm here. I just want to make sure you're okay. I'm going to go run home real quick because I left my phone. Call your mom, and I'll be right back. Do you need anything while I'm there?
Now, I could use the phone that's sitting right next to your bed,
Yeah.
which is in every hospital room, but
And you could tell me your mom's number because you probably know it.
so, I mean, again, though, as we do these cases, Gibbs, so often, you try to figure out what these people are saying, and it's hard to because a lot of it just doesn't make sense. And why is that? Because they acted impulsively, they didn't think things through, and a lot of times, okay, now you're trying to make something up on the fly.
Yeah.
That's hard to do.
Hard to do and hard to remember later.
Yeah. Andre told the police that he and Andreen got into an argument about the business, and he left home to cool off for a few hours, stopping at a nearby gas station. He assumed she was sleeping in their daughter's room when he came home. Andre then said he didn't want to talk to the detective and asked for an attorney. Probably a good idea at that point with all you've said so far.
Absolutely.
On the evening of March 1st, a forensic crime unit examined stains in the bathroom and confirmed they were human blood. Andre had no visible injuries on his body. When he spoke to the police, he was captured on surveillance at the gas station, which, seemingly supported his story, at least that part of it. However, Andre failed to mention his text exchange with Andreen at the gas station, where he accused her of cheating. Don't let allergy season slow you down. Get common allergy meds for as little as $15 with GoodRx. So you and your family, pets included, can stop allergy symptoms before they start. GoodRx is free and easy to use. Just search for your prescription on the website or the app, compare prices, and get a free coupon to show your pharmacist. Save at over 70,000 local pharmacies nationwide, including Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Publix, Kroger, and many more. Check GoodRx before every trip to the pharmacy to save up to 80% on both brand and generic medications. And did you know GoodRx rewards you for saving money too? Join GoodRx Rewards today and earn points every time you use a coupon. Remember, GoodRx is not insurance, but works whether you have insurance or not. And it could be your insurance copay price. I've been using GoodRx for years, and I can't tell you how many times I have saved money even with my insurance. Stop allergies before they start and save big on allergy medications this season with GoodRx. Go to goodrx.com/TCAT. That's goodrx.com/TCATT. Once the temps start rising, I realized I was back in the same worn out rotation. Same tank, same shorts, same everything. So I gave my daily uniform an upgrade with Quince. Their pieces are easy, elevated, and somehow make me feel more put together without even trying. Like their 100% European linen shorts and dresses from $30. Luxe swimwear, Italian leather platform sandals, and so much more. The best part, everything with Quince is priced 50 to 80% less than what you'd find at similar brands. By working directly with top artisans and cutting out the middleman, Quince gives you luxury without the markup. And Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices and premium fabrics and finishes. I'm getting ready to stock up on shorts for summer from Quince, and I know they're going to be amazing because everything I've ordered has been of the highest quality, and the prices are amazing. Treat your closet to a little summer glow up with Quince. Go to quince.com/TCAT for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/TCATT to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/TCAT. Andreen wrote per 48 hours, "If you bring up Aubin again, I will divorce you myself." In response, Andre texted, "I don't care if you get a divorce, you brought Aubin into our life." So obviously, as an affair does, this blasted a major hole, caused a huge rift in their relationship.
Sure. Yeah.
Now, it sounds like they tried to reconcile, but to me, it seemed as though, Andre was not going to be able to get past it. Now, you could make the argument that Andreen wasn't making it easy for him.
Sure.
With the tattoos and all of that.
I just think it's hard for a lot of relationships to move forward after infidelity's involved.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We talked about trust. Once the trust is gone, you can't always get it back. Or at the very least, you can't get it back to the level it was for many people. Investigators couldn't find Andreen's cell phone. They checked to see if her cards or passport had been used, but they hadn't. Andre was their main person of interest. And let's face it, how could he not be? The family knew how dedicated Andreen was to her business and to her daughter. She would not have left without giving some kind of notice. And we say that about so many people in the unsolved cases that we cover. People have routines. They have built up a track record over time. They're either extremely reliable, somewhat reliable, not reliable at all. But a lot of people are extremely reliable, especially when it comes to their own business and to their children. So to just up and leave, those two things, that would seem out of character for most people.
And for her.
And for her as well. At 2 p.m. on March 2nd, an undercover investigator assigned to watch the house saw that the garage was damaged and Andre was backing out of the driveway. The investigator followed him to a gun shop. Andre purchased a 9mm handgun and ammunition. Investigators assumed that he was buying the gun to harm himself, so they detained him in the parking lot. And it does seem like a strange thing, right? People buy guns all the time.
Sure.
But in the midst of what's going on in his life, to just, get in your car and go buy a gun. Now, I'm sure he didn't know that they were watching him, but what are the authorities to think? What's he need this gun for other than he's distraught and he's going to hurt himself?
Yeah, I'm sure they have concern over that for him and his daughter.
Andre was turned over to military authorities for a mental evaluation. That same day, investigators executed a search warrant on the house and Andreen's car. They discovered a shovel, a hatchet, an axe, trash bags, gloves, and gas cans in the car. The shovel had dirt on it and appeared to have been used recently.
So those are things that if they're in your trunk
right now, get them out.
Get them out. I mean, I carry a lot of those items, but I have a good reason.
Sure. I take it you don't want to share that reason. But, in all seriousness, you pull someone over, even without all of the context of what's going on in this case, and you open up the trunk and you see these items. Okay, somebody's going to have some questions. If it was just a shovel, if it was just a hatchet, but you add in the trash bags, the gloves, the gas cans. I mean, it's a strange combination.
Yeah. It's a bit much.
Yeah. It's like,
if you're not a landscaper.
Yeah. It's like pulling Dexter over and finding, his roll of knives and all the plastic sheeting and the zip ties.
Yeah.
You're going to have to explain to me what all this stuff is for. In the corner of the garage, investigators found a hammer and men's clothing in the garbage. Traces of blood were found in the pocket of a pair of jeans. Blood was found on the hammer, and DNA testing later confirmed it was Andreen's blood.
Here, let me use this hammer, but I'm just going to toss it in this trash can over here and not worry about it.
As though police would not search the garbage.
Yeah.
So, again, as we see so many times, things don't make sense, but why is that? And I think we talked about it in our Patreon episode.
We did.
If you have someone who is not a hitman, we're not talking about a skilled killer here. Are they going to make mistakes? Are they going to be in a rush and do things that make no sense? And to me, yes. And I think that's what we see in a lot of cases. And thankfully so, because a lot of times this is what leads people to be caught.
Yeah. I mean, now we have a hammer with her DNA on it. We know it was used.
Inside the garbage can, investigators also found a torn up Lowe's receipt that showed Andre purchased some of the items found in the home the day after Andreen went missing. The item suggested he was attempting to dispose of a body. And I'm assuming a lot of that was, trash bags, gloves, shovel, hatchet. Andre was captured by security cameras, purchasing the suspicious items at Lowe's.
That's the other thing. I think people forget there's cameras everywhere today, especially if you're shopping.
And receipts are time-stamped, and it's very easy to go back and look at match up the camera footage with the transaction. Maybe you don't go to Walmart. You don't go to Lowe's or Home Depot. Maybe you go to Billy Bob's
flea market
and pick up some of this stuff where, some of the technology doesn't exist. But how many people are caught on surveillance at Walmart, Lowe's? You see it in tons of cases.
Sure. Yeah.
And what are they buying? Trash bags, gloves, shovels, bleach. It's stuff to either bury a body or cover up a crime scene. On March 3rd, 2019, Andre's mental evaluation was completed and he was released, but was quickly arrested on a charge of evidence tampering for tearing up the receipt. Because Andre was not cooperating, Sheriff Javier Salazar went on local TV to ask for the public's help in locating Andreen. On March 4th, investigators revealed they believe Andreen was no longer living. And I could understand how they would come to that assumption.
Sure.
The blood on the hammer that was confirmed to be hers. All the stuff found in the car. Nobody's heard from her. It's not looking good.
No.
Sheriff Salazar named Andre as a person of interest, noting that when deputies made contact, he quickly asserted his rights to legal counsel and refused to speak to us. But, if you're the authorities, you're thinking 100% this guy, he did something, but you don't have a body.
Nope.
And you don't know for certain that Andreen is even dead at this point.
Yeah, at this point you have a motive. You got
a couple of different motives for sure.
Yeah, you have some potential weapons
and a lot of cleanup purchases.
Yes.
By March 4th, authorities obtained a second search warrant for the couple's residence to examine blood evidence. Sheriff Salazar discussed their daughter Elena with the San Antonio Express News, saying, "To us, it's pretty evident that she saw something. She saw what happened to her mom." CBS noted that Elena has autism and is mostly nonverbal. Sheriff Salazar added, "Quite frankly, there may be a body out laying in the woods that, again, would help us bring closure to this case. And to one little girl, I feel that we owe answers to." He did acknowledge that it was possible that Andreen voluntarily left the country, but she left behind personal items someone would normally take with them when traveling.
Yeah, but would she leave her daughter?
Well, that's the thing. But when you're talking about making an arrest and charging someone with murder and taking them to trial, the possibility that she could have voluntarily left could be reasonable doubt in the minds of a jury.
Yeah.
On March 5th, CBS affiliate KENS TV reported on an arrest affidavit that indicated Andreen told a friend if she ever went missing, it would be because Andre killed her.
Well, that's just coming out and saying it, isn't it?
Yeah. And I've told, many people that if I ever go missing, it's probably Gibby. Now, that's just covering my bases. I don't really have anything concrete.
It's probably the most obvious answer.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking logically.
Yeah.
If something ever does happen to me, it would probably be you.
Yeah. But it would be for the podcast. I would do it for the podcast.
And then do an episode on yourself?
Yeah, but I just don't know who would do all the
From
talking.
Prison?
Who would do all the talking if you're not here? That's
you'd
the problem.
You'd have to get somebody else.
I'd have to get AI to reproduce your voice or something.
Now you're scaring me. But things aren't going well. Gibbs, in a relationship when someone tells their friends, hey, if I ever go missing, it's my husband.
Yeah. I mean, if you're thinking like that,
things are bad.
Yeah, and you probably shouldn't be in the relationship anyway.
No, never in a million years would I think my wife would ever tell someone that, because I don't believe she thinks I would ever do that.
Yeah.
Investigators were continuing to uncover details about their marriage in WhatsApp messages that Andreen shared with friends. She argued about who was the brains behind the business. According to 48 Hours, she once texted Andre, "Starlight Homes is my idea, my dream, and would not have happened without my drive." And that's probably all true.
Sure. He was just the early financial backing.
Yes. Yeah. He was the one who put up the money, but I do think it was her idea. And I do think, it was her drive and her hard work that propelled the business forward. Andreen texted her friend, Andrew Russell, "Someone is going to snap." Russell told investigators that the couple got into a physical altercation the night before a Christmas party at their home. He told 48 Hours, "When I went into the kitchen, Andy and Andreen were grappling on the floor. The next morning, they were laughing about it. I did feel uncomfortable after that. I thought the situation had become toxic."
Now, can you imagine walking in on one of your couple friends and they're on the ground wrestling?
Grappling. Like an MMA fight.
Yeah.
Or something. One of my friends has his wife in a figure 4 leg lock, or what are we talking about here?
And you're like, hey, what are you guys doing?
And he says, I did feel a little uncomfortable.
I bet you did.
I'd be like, honey, get your coat. We're leaving and never coming back.
Definitely not healthy.
But I also thought it was strange that he said, the next morning they were laughing about it. Now, maybe there are some couples like that, but I can honestly say that my wife and I have never grappled and will never be grappling.
Well, maybe you need a little grapple.
And if we did, my assumption is she wouldn't be laughing about it the next morning.
I think she probably would kick your ass.
She might be laughing about how she kicked my ass. Yeah. But on July 11, 2019, a farmer found Andreen's skeletal remains 6 miles from her home. Her skull was found in front of a cow skull. A medical examiner concluded Andreen died from blunt force trauma, consistent with a hammer attack. And less than 48 hours later, Andre was arrested and charged with murder.
Well, now they have her remains. They have motive. They have a weapon.
Yeah, and like I said before, my thought is they knew he had done something. But it seems as though, it really took the finding of her remains for them to feel comfortable with arresting him and charging him with her murder. It was a difficult case for the prosecution because they couldn't say exactly how Andreen died because her body had been out in the elements for months. ADA Stephen Spear believed Andre killed his wife because he felt jealous and emasculated. It took over 3 years for Andre to go to trial. Just 3 days before the trial started, Andre called his mother to tell her the truth about what happened. He then called Andreen's sister, Cindy Johnson, and admitted to killing his wife, but said it was self-defense. And his defense team was shocked because, this was coming just days before the trial.
Yeah.
Their case basically, did a 180 just days before the trial was set to begin. And Andre now said he wanted to testify.
I'm thinking the defense is saying, hey, could you have talked to us before you made all these decisions?
Could you have let us know this much earlier so we could have had more time to plan?
Yeah, we've had 3 years.
Jury selection started on January 17, 2023. The defense wanted to suppress certain evidence, such as a statement from Andreen's friend, Carol Gonbar, who said in court per CBS, many times she said, if anything happened to her, she would always say that Andre did it. Carol was the one who reported Andreen missing and walked through the house on the morning of March 1st, 2019. When Carol saw the blood and hair on the light switch, she said, I was thinking Andreen was dead.
I think a lot of people would have.
I think so too. But you could also see why the defense would want to try to suppress these types of statements. Andreen's mother, Maureen Smith, also testified about how Gonbar informed her Andreen was missing. She explained that she lived with the couple but was working the night Andreen disappeared. Both women said that Andreen was having an affair with a man in Jamaica and visited him a little over a month before she disappeared. So we're getting into the area of a possible motive, right? We have an affair. Andre's upset about it, and he kills her. In opening statements, the prosecution told the jury about all the evidence found in the home, including the bloody hammer with Andreen's DNA on it. Investigators found hundreds of searches on his phone, such as how long does DNA live outdoors? How long does it take?
Just not a smart individual.
Well, again, we talk about what people do. Do they not know that, police are going to be able to find all these searches, whether it's on your phone or your home computer or whatever it is? Or are they just thinking, I'm not going to get caught? Or are they not thinking about any of that? They're just seeing red, they're mad, and they end up doing something, and they're just not concerned about all these other things.
Oh, I think you're right.
Now, the defense argued that Andreen's death was an accident that occurred during what they called a mutual fight. They asked for a verdict of manslaughter. Gibbs, what is a mutual fight?
I mean, is this more grappling and then at some point he grabs a hammer?
Well, to me, a mutual fight is where, both sides agree, hey, we're going to fight.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure you were involved in when you were younger. I know I was. Two kids said, meet me on the playground after school. We're going to duke it out. That's a mutual fight.
Yeah.
I don't know how many husbands and wives say, do you want to fight? I want to fight. Let's agree to fight. I just don't think it happens that way.
I don't think so either.
In a physical manner.
Oh, you're right. I mean, high school, yeah. Hey, I'll meet you out at 3:00.
3:00 high?
Yeah.
Or like a boxing match or an MMA match, right? That's a mutual fight. Both people have agreed that combat is going to take place.
Yeah. You're not saying, hey, honey, I'm going to see you at 8:00 in the living room and it's going down.
Yes. At most domestic violence situations don't occur that way.
No.
It's one side instigating or committing the act against the other. It's not usually both sides saying, let's go at it.
Yeah.
Cindy Johnson was the first witness. She testified about the phone call she received from Andre. Andre said he wanted Cindy and her mother to know the truth before the trial started. He explained how he got into an argument with Andreen because she was operating a business in her name only. He also described how he killed Andreen in their bedroom. Cindy Johnson testified per KSAT, he plunged her to the ground and used his foot to stomp her. Andre told her that his daughter witnessed the murder. He put her to bed and went outside. According to Cindy, he said he couldn't believe what happened. He said, I can't believe she's dead. He took off her clothes and burned them and put her body in the car. He took the body where it was found.
I'm sure she was horrified hearing this.
Yeah, it's going to be a very tough phone call. But also, does that correspond in your mind, Gibbs, with an argument of self-defense? Because I'm not hearing self-defense in what he's telling Cindy on the phone.
Yeah, I mean, it sounded like he had the opportunity to walk away from this argument. He chose not to. He threw her down on the ground.
Unless she's coming at him with a weapon, a knife or a gun or something like that, where does the self-defense come in?
Yeah, because I don't hear anywhere in that story that he was in harm's way.
No, I mean, if it's just hand-to-hand combat between the two of them, It seems like it's tough for Andre to make the self-defense claim.
Well, he said he threw her on the ground.
And then stomped her.
He could have stopped once he had her on the ground and walked away.
Even the smallest step forward can make a big difference in your financial future. When you open a Chime checking account, you're one step closer to a better financial future with no maintenance fees, fee-free overdraft up to $200, or getting paid up to 2 days early with direct deposit. Making progress has never been easier. I think we've all been in that position where we've had an overdraft. Well, with Chime, you can overdraft up to $200 with no fees. That's amazing. And they have over 50,000 fee-free ATMs. Make progress towards a better financial future with Chime. Open your account in 2 minutes at chime.com/TCAT. That's chime.com/TCATT. Chime feels like progress. Banking services and debit card provided by the Bancorp Bank N.A. or Stride Bank N.A., members FDIC. Spot me eligibility requirements and overdraft limits apply. Fees apply at out-of-network ATMs. MyPay eligibility requirements apply. Credit limits range from $20 to $500. $2 fee applies to get funds instantly. Crime checking account required. Go to chime.com/disclosures for details. True Crime All the Time is sponsored by BetterHelp. Folks, therapy can feel like a big investment, but let's think about the state of your mind. It's just as important as your physical health. Traditional in-person therapy can cost anywhere from $100 to $250 per session, which adds up really fast. But with BetterHelp Online Therapy, you can save, on average, up to 50% per session. With BetterHelp, you pay a flat fee for weekly sessions, saving you big on cost and time. And you get quality care at a price that makes sense and can help you with anything from anxiety to everyday stress. Your mental health is worth it, and now it's within reach. I've used the BetterHelp service for years. And I love the fact that, I can connect with a therapist in a comfortable spot in my home on my laptop. With over 30,000 therapists, BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform, having served over 5 million people globally. Your well-being is worth it. Visit betterhelp.com/TCAT today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/TCATT. The jury heard testimony about location data, phone calls, and text messages, including the argument that occurred on February 28, 2019. The jury was shown the items taken from the family vehicles, including the axe, hatchet, 2 cigarette lighters, work gloves, and garbage bags. According to KSAT, forensic pathologist Dr. James Figg testified that Andreen was likely killed with a claw hammer and was not stomped on, as Andre said.
Maybe he was trying to make it sound less horrific.
Less graphic?
Graphic, yeah.
Her remains had severe injuries consistent with being struck by a blunt object, including a fractured spinal cord, a broken rib, and a fractured jaw. But he could not determine which injury caused her death. And again, it goes back to the fact that, her remains had been out in the elements for, a number of months. Andreen's cause of death was listed as homicidal violence, including blunt force trauma. A forensic serologist testified that the blood found on the handle and head of the hammer found inside the home was Andreen's. One officer testified that he interviewed Andre on March 1st and March 2nd of 2019. On March 2nd, Andre had bandages on his hands. He said he was tending to rose bushes and got hurt.
Unlikely story.
I'm not saying men don't, do a little gardening, but
pretty convenient.
It's a pretty convenient story given what was found, in the vehicle and what police thought you were out doing with that stuff. Earlier at trial, a gardener testified that he tended to the landscaping and the McDonald's owned no lawn equipment. So, we said these were people that had some money.
Yeah.
They had a landscaper. Why is he out tending to rose bushes?
Because he's really not.
Andre spent over 4 hours testifying. He admitted to killing his wife and disposing of her body, but he claimed self-defense.
Well, I bet the defense hated that he was on the stand.
I think they hated the fact that he flipped the script 3 days before the trial started. According to Andre, they were arguing because she was having an affair and tried to start a business in her name. Things reached a breaking point on February 28, 2019, when they met at a tax preparation office. At trial, Andre repeated the story that he left home in the evening and went to a gas station to cool off. But Andreen was not asleep when he got home. As he had said previously, she waited for him, and the argument continued. It escalated to the point that he raised the possibility of divorce and splitting the business in half, which angered Andreen. Andre said, as quoted by 48 Hours, she became extremely irate at the thought of splitting the business and charges into the room to confront me. He said, so when she comes into the room, I turned around and she comes like right up in my face. So at that moment, she spits in my face. So at that point, I grabbed her because she's like right in front of me. So I grabbed her head. I think we had like a clash of heads, and I think it opened up like a cut somewhere on her face. Andreen ran into the bathroom and turned on the lights. She saw her bloody face and attacked him. He said, per KSAT, when she was attacking me, I was basically trying to defend myself. Andre continued, when she comes, she's like throwing like some punches. So I'm trying to like duck down and like keep my head, my face from getting hit with the blows. I remember grabbing her and tripping her. And then she like falls. And that's when I kicked her like twice. The second kick, I think I heard like some type of wheezing. And then also like in the background, I could hear like some footsteps. This guy says like way too often.
He sure did.
As do my children. I get on them all the time. You don't have to say like in front of everything.
I like what you're saying here.
Like, I get you, man. But these background footsteps that he heard, those were his daughter. Those footsteps were his daughter. Andre said his wife was injured but alive when he put his daughter back to bed. When he returned 30 minutes later, she was dead.
All right, so he makes his case of how it went down, but at the end of it, he says she was still alive, but he chose not to do anything to get her help, but just to pick his daughter up and stay away for 30 minutes. If that's how it even went down. Oh, yeah. No, I get you. I don't know that I believe anything that is coming out of this guy's mouth, but I like the point that you're making. Even in this self-defense scenario that he's painting, there is a point in time where it seems to me he could have called 911. He could have tried to get her help. He could have scooped her up and put her in the car and taken her to the hospital. But to come back 30 minutes later and say, well, okay, she died. During cross-examination, the prosecution asked if he thought about calling 911. Andre said, I never thought about calling anybody to revive a dead person. My purpose at that point was simply to get her out of the house so that my 7-year-old daughter wouldn't see her mother lying on the floor dead. Well, you know how you do that? You call 911 and they can send somebody to remove her.
Well,
or maybe just close the bedroom door.
I think the prosecution asks a good question, but he answers it in a way as though his only option would have been to call 911 after she was already dead. He could have called 911 in the beginning of the 30-minute period.
Absolutely.
But he's only looking at it as though, his option would have been to call at the end of the 30-minute period once he knew she was already dead.
Because that's what aligns with his story in his head.
Absolutely. The defense asked Andre why he killed his wife. He claimed it was self-defense. The defense showed videos of Andreen powerlifting and carrying Andre up the stairs on her back. Andre said his wife could lift 300 pounds, which was twice his weight. Okay, so apparently this dude only weighed 150 pounds. I'm pretty sure I weighed 150 pounds when I was like in the 8th grade.
I figure you were just born 150 pounds.
a little shy of it, but not too much. But why is the defense doing this?
Oh, they really want to try to push the self-defense.
Yeah, because they have to try to make the jury see that Andreen was a serious threat to Andre's life. She could lift 300 pounds. She could have killed him with her bare hands. Right? That's what they have to try to get across to the jury. Yeah. Andre dumped his wife's body in the field where she was found. He removed her clothing and went home to burn it. As quoted by KSAT, Andre said he thought at the time, I'll just get her out of the house and then I'll just pretend I don't know where she is. It was quite a hassle. I remember there was a dead cow right where I ended up. I took the bags off. I was just going to leave the body there. And for some reason, I don't remember why, but I just had this weird idea that I should probably just take her clothes. I'm thinking my life is over now. I'm guessing I would get blamed for this. No, I didn't think I was guilty, but knowing like the circumstance, there's obviously a dead person in your house and you're the only adult there. We had a good life for a while. And everything is going good. And basically this madness, I'm feeling really sad. At the same time, I'm also like, why me? Why me? Why don't you cry me a frickin' river?
Yeah.
I mean, we got to break some of this down. At one point, Gibbs, he says it was quite the hassle. It was a hassle to have to try to dispose of his wife's dead body.
Yeah, he's something.
He really is.
I noticed, remember when he called her sister, Cindy?
Yes.
He doesn't know what he's saying because when he talked to her, he said, after I stomped her and realized she was dead, I took her clothes off there at the house and then put her body in the car and drove her. Well, now he's telling a little bit different story, right? That he didn't take her clothes off until he got to the site where she was discovered.
And my theory around that is always that, people change their story because they're trying to craft it in a way that fits their story now.
Yeah.
Their narrative now.
Sure.
Because now he's saying self-defense. So he's crafting the story to that angle. And then he's also saying, why me? Why me? As though, woe is me. Why would this happen to poor little old me?
All I ever wanted was just to have a happy marriage.
He was asked about the hammer. Andre explained that when investigators finished searching his home, he went back to the field with the hammer and a can of gas. He said, my plan was to hit the person that caused this whole circumstance. So he is literally saying that he took the hammer out to the field after he'd already dumped Andreen's body and hit her. Why?
Well, because he wants to show that the hammer was used after he defended himself.
He has to explain how her blood got on this hammer. And he does so by saying he drove out there just to hit her in the head with the hammer after she was already dead.
Because I was so frustrated.
Yes, that she did this to me.
I'll show her.
He testified per KSAT. During that time frame, my mind kind of shifted. At first, I was just feeling sorry about the whole situation. I'm just thinking, if only I knew what was going to happen. When I went back to the house, I would have probably just left the gas station and drove to Houston that night and never come back or something like that. And then I started feeling for myself man, why the hell does this shit have to happen to me of all people?
Again, he is really into himself. Nowhere in there does he ever mention his daughter.
No. Or his wife, right?
Right.
Obviously, he can't mention his wife because then that would shift the blame back to him. Why the hell did this have to happen to me?
You allowed it to happen to you.
Of all people. That's what he said.
Yeah.
He said, I'm just thinking how my life is going great for several years. I get married, I get a kid. Career-wise, I'm doing good. I got promoted, business is going good. And then just for it to turn on a dime, from that kind of atmosphere to now, this whole crazy situation where basically there's one dead person and I'm probably going down for that. And then there's this little girl with autism that basically got no parents. And then all the other people whose lives are going to get ruined because of this whole situation.
Which is all your fault.
Yeah, I mean, he does at least acknowledge his daughter here, but he is sticking with this kind of woe is me. This was such a horrible situation that happened to me.
Yeah.
That resulted in one person dead. That's how he's, kind of spinning it in his mind. He said at that point, I was just mad at the person that I believed had caused this whole situation and destroyed all of our lives. The pity kind of went away, and now it was just like pure rage and anger. I'm just pissed off at Andreen at that point. He was so angry that he poured gasoline on Andreen and set her body on fire. When the flames died down, he hit her body with a hammer. He said, I hit her in the face, the neck, and I just hit her again as I was walking away. And I'll be honest with you, Gibbs, I think some of what he's saying is true. When he says, I was just mad at the person that I believed had caused this whole situation and destroyed all of our lives. He says it was just pure rage and anger. I think all of that is true. I just think that all happened in the beginning.
Yes.
He's trying to paint it as if that all hit him after she was already dead. And I think it was the other way around.
Right. Well, if anybody believes what he's saying, it sounds better that way. If you can find your way to believe it.
Oh, his self-defense angle. Absolutely. Yes. Andre was asked why he bought a handgun. On March 2nd, he explained, with all the situation of folks accusing me of stuff, my point was to get a firearm for protection. When asked about the hundreds of Google searches about decomposition, he said, a lot of this stuff is like curiosity. Just thinking about what the case would look like, basically.
Yeah.
It's almost laughable.
I mean, he's trying.
I mean, yeah, okay, I'm curious about decomposition too. But even as a true crime podcaster, you're not going to find hundreds of Google searches about body decomposition.
No.
And so he's saying he was just curious, about how long it would take and this and that. When asked why he didn't reveal the location of Andreen's body, he said, I sort of expected she would be found. I was just surprised it took that long. I'm thinking she's probably going to be found in a day or two. To be honest, why would I make any efforts? If I already know she's dead, I'm not going to go out in the field and pretend and do some charade or something and pretend going out doing fake searches with people and passing out flyers. Why would I do any of that? That's a screw up on top of what already happened.
Maybe you want to tell the authorities where she is to give some peace to her family.
But if you notice, he doesn't ever really answer a question.
He doesn't.
He just spouts a lot of nonsense and never really gets to the heart of the question. Finally, he was asked why he waited so long to confess. Andre said, when I got arrested for the case, I decided at that point, I was just going to dig in and wait until I went to court because I didn't really trust the police or maybe the DA's office trying to twist words against me or try to manipulate that stuff.
You had a lawyer.
You could have told your lawyer.
Yes.
Who could have advised you on what to do. But we said, right, his defense team was blindsided as well. So obviously he did not do that. He said, I decided my best bet was to wait until I go to court and then I'll tell the truth.
Because that worked out so well.
I mean, everything else I said was a lie. But once I get to court, Gibbs, that's when I'm going to tell the truth. In closing, the prosecution told the jury that Andre killed his wife because he was enraged over her affair and thought she wanted her lover to kill him, and she wanted to secretly open a business in her name. The defense argued that the case was not about murder. It was about what kind and degree of responsibility Andre had. According to KSAT, defense attorney John Convery argued that Andre took responsibility and confessed. Andreen was looking for a fight that night. He told the jury, it's Andreen who charges after him in the bedroom, she's taunting him. Spitting in someone's face is an assault. She charges Andre, is probably stronger than him. He has the right to use proportionate force.
Well, according to him, he threw her to the ground, walk away.
Yeah, I think it's a good point that you made, which is it does sound like even in his story, there were points in time that he could have walked away without her ending up dead. He didn't do that. And is spitting in someone's face an assault? Yeah, maybe technically it is. But is it an assault that justifies the use of lethal force? And I would argue, no, absolutely not. That's if she even did spit in his face. We don't know.
Right. That's just, he's saying that.
Yeah.
What about those talkers that spit as they talk?
Close talkers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They spray you as they talk?
You can't just punch them.
No. Was that assault?
No.
You're like, hey, buddy.
You can just give him a tic-tac and, walk off. Defense attorney John Hunter also argued that the jury should exclude evidence found at the home on March 2nd because a deputy went inside without a warrant. After 11 hours of deliberation, the jury sent a note to the judge indicating they were deadlocked. A judge issued an Allen charge, ordering the jury to continue deliberations. On February 3rd, 2023, a jury found Andre McDonald guilty of manslaughter. On February 6th, he was sentenced to 20 years in prison. The judge told him that while he had no previous criminal record and had a good career in the military, nothing justified the death of his wife, and he did it in front of his child. Andre showed no emotion and no remorse. The judge noted that he looked at his phone during trial and only paid attention when pictures of his wife's bones were shown to the jury.
Why would he have his phone during trial? Why would his defense team say, yeah, you can look at your, I would have been like, no phone.
Pay attention.
Pay attention.
Well, it does sound to me as though the judge is saying, without actually coming out and saying, that he should have gotten more. I don't want to speak for the judge, but I'm reading between the lines here. When he says nothing justified the death of his wife, right, I'm thinking he probably didn't agree with the manslaughter verdict. With credit for time served, Andre will be eligible for parole after serving only 7.5 years in prison.
Wow.
A letter from his daughter, Elena, was read during the victim impact statements. According to KSAT, the letter said, "To Andre McDonald, you killed my mother, you took away my life, and you broke my heart, and you hurt my feelings, and you will pay for what you did. You will be punished forever." Now, that might not mean anything to Andre McDonald, but I know for a fact if either one of my daughters said anything like that to me, it would cut me to the core.
Yeah, it would crush you.
It would crush me. But I'm also not a killer who has no feelings. And I'm not sure Andre has any remorse about what happened that night.
It doesn't seem like it.
Whether it's because he just doesn't have remorse or whether it's because he has caused himself to believe his story of events.
And I think that will be a problem for him when he tries to get parole.
Yeah, the only thing that he'll have going for him is that he admitted to killing his wife. It was the jury, I think, that really, I don't want to say they messed up because you can never say that about a jury. We weren't on it. We didn't hear everything, but it's tough, right? This manslaughter charge. Obviously, they weren't convinced that he purposefully, maliciously killed his wife. They must have bought, at least to some degree, the self-defense angle. That's the only thing I can think of. The following day, it was reported that Andre's father was awaiting trial in Jamaica for the murders of 2 of his wives.
Wow.
Okay. Everton McDonald was ordered to stand trial for hiring someone to murder his wife. In July 2020, he was also charged with killing his first wife in May 2009. That trial was set for early 2024.
I hate to say it runs in the family.
The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Yeah, I mean, you can start to think about some of these things. On February 15, 2023, Andre accepted a plea deal for the evidence tampering charge. The deal called for a 5-year sentence added to his 20-year sentence. So you get 5 years for tearing up a receipt, but 20 years for killing someone.
Seems messed up, huh?
It does seem messed up. Andreen's family filed a suit seeking damages against Andre. The suit alleged that Andre killed Andreen for financial gain. And on March 8th, 2024, a jury awarded $210 million in damages to Andreen's mother and her daughter. Andre's appeal was denied in August 2024. In the coming years, Gibbs, we'll probably see some more appeals from Andre continuing to argue self-defense. But, even if his appeals are denied, this guy is not going to spend all that long in prison. Now, it's much longer than any of us would want to serve, right? I don't want to spend a day in prison, but it doesn't seem to fit with him killing his wife.
Yeah.
And, I just don't buy his story. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, I don't buy his story either.
And part of it for me is that, the story changed. It kept evolving. And it always seems to me that when the stories change to fit the evidence, that is someone trying to, wriggle their way out of it, but knowing that they have to account for all of these different things. I have to account for the blood on the hammer. I have to account for, this, and this. And so the story keeps evolving until it encompasses all those things.
It was so much about him, right? His responses was how it had impact on him.
Yes.
Poor me.
I only mentioned his daughter once.
Yeah.
Had little to no regard at all for Andreen
Or her family
in any of his statements. It was always, little old poor me. And to be honest with you, I just don't believe him. But, the jury heard all the evidence. They were obviously conflicted. They were deadlocked at one point. The judge said, nope, keep deliberating. And they came back with what they came back. I mean, that's how our system works.
Yeah.
I just think this guy's going to get out probably a lot sooner than he ever should. But that's it for our story on Andre McDonald. We got some voicemails, Gibbs. You want to check those out?
Let's hear them.
Hey, this is Ashley from Batavia. I have to say, I was a Mike fan initially, and then I was listening to the Tukey Williams episode. It's like 176 or something like that. And Mike, you crap on Crocodile Dundee when Gibby's talking about, that's not a knife, this is a knife. I have to say, that's one of my favorite movies, and I'm leaning more towards a Gibby fan. You guys have a great day. Keep your head on a swivel.
All right. Love it. Now, I think people are just finding excuses to switch to Gibby. I love Crocodile Dundee. I don't think I was cracking on the movie. I think I was cracking on you.
That's not a knife. This is a knife.
Because I love that movie. Actually, to be honest with you, I had a huge crush on the woman that was actually, I think, his wife in real life.
Yeah. Yeah, she is.
I had a huge crush on her when I was younger.
Did you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah. You know where Batavia is?
Batavia?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Down towards Cincinnati?
Yeah.
You said that with such conviction. I think it is. I don't know.
Hi, Mike. Hi, Gibby. This is Yvette from South Africa. I'm just calling to say thank you for doing such a great job on the podcast. I am absolutely addicted to it. I would also like to give a suggestion about, it's actually from India. It's a Netflix documentary that I saw. It's about Sheena Bora, technically still unsolved with a lot of twists and turns. I would really like you guys to take on that. But again, I just want to say thank you for all the great work. And I am Team Gibby and Team Mike because I just love the witty banter between the two of you, and it wouldn't be the same without one of you. Okay, thank you. Keep safe and keep your own time ticking. Bye.
All right, awesome. Now, I probably should have put that on Unsolved, but I don't think I've seen that one. I'll have to check it out, and maybe we should take a look at it.
What if it's on Netflix South Africa? You know, sometimes different countries play different things.
Uh-huh.
Netflix, I mean.
Right. And then there's whatever you have, which is not technically Netflix. It's like the generic version of Netflix.
Yes, Next Flick.
Next Flick.
Yes.
It's probably not on there, but, you know, we'll check.
We'll find out.
We had no mailbag this week. So that's it, buddy, for another episode of True Crime All the Time. So for Mike
and Gibby,
stay safe and keep your own time ticking.
It was over 30 years ago that Clifford Olson first called me. Secret phone calls from Canada's most notorious serial killer.
I knew I was killing the children, but I couldn't stop myself.
Now it's time to unearth the tapes, because I believe there are still answers to be found. I'm Arlene Bynum from CBC's Uncover, Calls from a Killer. Available now.